After breaking up with my ex, because our bodies were too compatible, we still kept a friends with benefits relationship. After one intimate session, he tossed me half a box. 00, when I'm getting married, preparing for pregnancy. No need anymore. I found you a blind date. Go meet him. Don't keep clinging to me. Find a man to take over the burden. I picked up my clothes, silently dressed, and left. I didn't go on the blind date. After all, my Moonlight had returned to the country. He had no idea that behind his back, I had found a replacement. After a passionate and satisfying session, I steadied my breathing, picked up my change of clothes, and walked into the bathroom. Gu-kun never cleaned me up afterward. When I came out drying my hair, he was leaning against the headboard. He picked up the remaining half box of strawberry-flavored ultra-thin condoms and tossed it casually into my arms. When we were dating, he casually mentioned he liked strawberry flavor. Ever since then, I always kept some on hand. I caught the box, stunned. I'm going into an arranged marriage. Preparing for pregnancy. No need anymore, he explained casually, biting a freshly lit cigarette. The ember flickered in the dimness. Even fastening his belt exuded a nonchalant, roguish air. Seeing me stare blankly, he grinned rakishly, his voice still hoarse from indulgence. I found you a blind date. Go meet him. He blew a smoke ring at me. I couldn't help but cough, and he laughed flirtatiously. That's strong. You young girls are so delicate. My wife can't stand it either. I only smoke in front of you and the other guys. We've known each other for years. We really got close last year at a party. He was exactly my type. I heard he changed girlfriends often. I secretly checked his medical report, confirmed he was clean, then bravely pursued him. They said he was casual, but I chased him for half a year and even joined his group of guy friends. I was his bro for half a year before winning him over. But after 6 months of dating, he said it was better to be friends. We broke up, but because the physical chemistry was right, we stayed as bed buddies for another year. Back then, I frowned and said I hated the smell of smoke countless times. He always passed it to me with a kiss, grinning wickedly. Can't quit. You'll get used to it. After all, you'll always be with me. But now he's willing to change for someone else. He fastened his watch, smirking rakishly. Don't keep clinging to me. Find some man to take over. This half box of ultra thins, you too can use them. I clutched the box, my throat dry. You said in bed just now. Use them tonight. He flicked off ash. I need to save my energy for tonight. I have to deliver the goods at home. My wife is young. She's so clingy. I don't know how you young girls have so much energy. My mind went blank. I stuffed the half box of ultra thins into my pocket. Okay, you understand. There was indeed regret. I originally thought our bodies were compatible. I had wanted to keep playing with him for a while longer, but he had a fiancée, so I had to let it go. I was probably the cleanest breaker among Gu-kun's female companions. He raised one eyebrow in slight surprise. He handed me a card. This is compensation. Later, as usual, I'll have Shunzi send you the business card of your blind date. Don't forget to go. Shunzi was his close friend. When I couldn't reach him usually, I always contacted Shunzi. I quietly took the card. He casually stubbed out his cigarette. When he looked up, his usual nonchalance carried a warning. Don't cause trouble in front of my wife. You know my methods. Of course I know the Gu family's empire is deeply entrenched, and the Gus are cold-blooded and ruthless. But I never said I would make a scene. He just likes that girl so much. I lowered my eyes. I understand. His expression relaxed, signaling his satisfaction. After tidying up, he left first. I would leave half an hour later. This was our unspoken agreement. Even during the time we were dating, it was the same routine. Back at my place, my phone screen lit up. The contact Shunzi had pushed arrived on time. At the same time, an entertainment news headline popped up. The Gu family's eldest son appears publicly with his fiancée. A powerful alliance between the Gu and Su families. I clicked on it. In the photo, Gu-kun had his arm around the girl's waist, his gaze following her every expression, his eyes unusually focused. A tenderness I had never seen before. Netizens flooded the comments. What is Mr. Gu staring at his fiancée's lips for? The sexual tension is off the charts. He made his fiancée blush. A friend who met them at a banquet said Mr. Gu didn't look at his phone the entire time. When his fiancée got dessert on the corner of her mouth, he wiped it off with his hand, then casually licked it clean.
Who understands?
This natural sense of intimacy. Did anyone notice the ring on his ring finger? Rumor has it he designed it himself, with his fiancée's initials engraved inside. He never used to wear such things.
Exactly.
Used to think he was a player with a cool vibe. Now he's just cool. Turns out it wasn't a character collapse. It's just that no one before managed to make him turn over a new leaf. If netizens hadn't pointed it out, I wouldn't have even noticed these details. I once asked Gu-kun to wear matching couple rings with me, but he scoffed and said it was childish. We're not getting married. What's the point of wearing fakes? I didn't say anything. After all, those little romantic gestures with couples, I learned them from my ex before last. I didn't add the blind date candidate and closed the webpage. I put my phone on silent, laid down and slept all day. When I woke up, I saw many messages in WeChat. My bestie had sent a bunch in shock. Holy crap, Jing, your yellow moonlight is back in the country. Check WeChat, answer the phone. He's already off the plane. My heart stopped. In the year I maintained a relationship with Gu-kun, I never felt fear. But now I'm truly scared. Yellow Moonlight's name is Pae Sung-sui. He's my ex before last. We were college classmates. He was handsome and top of the class, and I admired strength. No surprise there. I had a crush and acted on it, but he was like a precise machine, with only data and formulas in his life. I slipped into his lectures whenever I could, sitting next to him for a whole month, but he still didn't recognize me. So I had to use a little trick. That day, I dropped my pen into his desk hole, then gently tapped his shoulder. Hey, my pen might be in your desk. He turned around, stared at me for 3 seconds, frowned slightly, and said, Last Tuesday. You used the same excuse to make me get your pen. Also, on the 26th, the 18th, the 12th last month. Even I didn't remember those dates, but he could list them all. I was thrilled. Later, I added him on WeChat and asked him out in different ways every day. Though I was always turned down, it was me who liked him, so I couldn't exactly make demands. When he agreed to date me, it had been exactly half a year. Before him, I was a straight girl who had no idea how to chase someone. I only picked up most of my techniques while dating him, which is why I had experience when I chased Gu-kun later. The nickname, Yellow Moonlight, was made up by my best friend to tease me, because Pae Sung-sui was always insatiable, like a machine that knew exactly where my limits were. I couldn't keep up with his pace, and his old words kept surfacing in my mind. Ayu, don't hide, Ayu. I know your limits aren't here. Hold on for 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and you'll break the record again. Ayu, you're amazing. He never held back on praise, his voice carrying a calm appreciation that often left me defenseless. Later, he was selected by a top overseas research institute, and I didn't want to hold him back. Nor did I want to wait, so I took the initiative to break up. I even felt a sense of relief.
Later, met Gu-kun.
He was good-looking too, and I heard from his ex that he was the Mac type. Sleeping with him 10 times wouldn't leave much of an impression. No impression, just what I wanted. That kind of thing is exhausting. After I started dating him, I found it was true. I could even fall asleep in the middle of it. He would still ask if he was good. Of course, he was good. In the 2 years I was with Pae Sung-sui, I had never slept so soundly. Pulling my thoughts back, I quickened my packing. After all, back then, Pae Sung-sui didn't agree to the breakup. For the first time, his eyes reddened in front of me. To calm him down and get him to go abroad quickly, I agreed to a fake breakup. I promised to wait for him to come back. But the moment he left, I changed my SIM card right after, moved houses, and even ran into Gu-kun. While pulling clothes out of the closet, I dialed my best friend. How did you know he was coming back? I looked into it back then. His project was supposed to take at least 5 years. I shoved clothes into the suitcase randomly. It's only been 3 years. How is he back already? I'm puzzled too, my best friend said. Lucky for me, my boyfriend is in the same field and dropped a hint. But I heard Pae Sung-sui has become a tech mogul now, really on the rise. I zipped up the suitcase without responding. What are you doing? Rustling sounds of packing. I stood the suitcase up. I'm going to lie low for a few days. The line went quiet. Avoid what? It's not like he's going to eat you. She paused. Seems like he actually might. Then have you considered getting back with him? I shuddered. But I lied to him and went with Gu-kun. So what? It's his fault for being so intense that he wore you out. Besides, aren't you single now? That should be fine. She doesn't get it. Pate Songsway, once he sets his mind on something, he calculates every variable. I'll steer clear first. Once he's sure I've disappeared, maybe he'll give up. I picked up my suitcase and went to pull open the door, then closed it. A hand reached out and firmly pressed against the door panel. Pate Songsway lowered his eyes to look at my suitcase, a smile in his voice as he said, Ayu. Where do you think you're going? He pulled open the door and stepped inside, the entrance suddenly feeling cramped. I stepped back, and the door closed behind him. His cashmere coat was still carrying the chill of the outside air, but not as cold as his face. Before returning, I calculated your possible reactions. Emotion told me you would wait for me, like before. Reason told me you would run and that after confirming my return, you would act within 1 hour. Now it seems reason has won. 3 years no see. Pate Songsway has gotten thinner. He has a naturally cold face, but a pair of affectionate eyes. He could calculate the exact time I would learn of his return, so of course he was fully aware of the Gu-kun affair. He looks calm, but he must be furious. He's always been like this, jealous and not hiding it. The next step would be the kind of thing that Huang Yueguang would do. I quickly looked up and glared at him. Yes, I want to run away. So what? He didn't say anything, just stared straight at me. His gaze fell from my eyes to my lips, focused like he was examining a recovered experimental sample. Just want to confirm your condition, he said softly, but I felt the familiar shiver. That tremor mixed with retreat, the feeling that we would be endlessly intimate again in the next second was back. What's there to confirm? I forced myself to be strong. I lied to you, so what? You were abroad living it up, coming back and still wanting to control me. My words inadvertently revealed a sourness I hadn't noticed. His eyes flickered. Is that the reason? No. My heart raced out of control, but I still insisted stubbornly. We're already broken up. Why shouldn't I? Before I could finish, he suddenly laughed. Understandable. You have absolute freedom of choice. My face started to heat up. I wanted to push him out. Amidst the intense struggle, the box in my pocket slipped out. It was the half-used box of strawberry-flavored ultra-thins. My scalp tingled, and I lunged to pick it up, but a hand reached it before me. Pate Songsway opened the box and glanced inside. The corner of his lips slowly curled up. Ayu, you're all prepared. No, that's... He looked up, his eyes dark. 3. It's a bit much, but since it's Ayu's gift, I'll enjoy it properly. He slowly leaned in, his breath closing in. It's not for you, I said angrily, but he had already kissed me. I have to admit, I still have feelings for him. Even though the thought of his terrifying frequency makes me flinch, this kiss, moist, lingering, is even more dizzying than in my memory. I closed my eyes and let myself sink into it. He kissed me while guiding me toward the bedroom. Just as I was lost in a moment, someone knocked on the door. A familiar, lazy voice came from outside. Xia Jingyu, open up. I snapped back to reality and suddenly remembered. Yesterday, when Gu-kun left, he did say he'd come back today to pick up something he'd left behind. I pushed Pate Songsway away, thinking of an excuse to pretend I wasn't home, but the knocking stopped. Then my phone rang. The ringing was especially jarring in the quiet room. The person outside clearly heard it. The knocking came again, heavier and more impatient than before. Pate Songsway cupped my face, pulling my attention back. Ayu, don't open it. I was a bit flustered, but he already knew I was home. It's not a good idea, I started to say, but before I could finish, he hung up the phone right in front of me, leaned down, and bit into a kiss. It wasn't good to leave me here either. Amidst the entanglement of lips and teeth, he murmured, You two are over. He's in the past. WeChat messages popped up again. I broke free from him and fished out my phone. It was indeed Gu-kun. Why aren't you opening the door at home, Xia Jingyu? I haven't changed my mind. Don't play hard to get with me. My wife is cute and docile. You can't compare. Not opening the door and hanging up had already stepped on his landmine. Now, with my delayed reply, he completely exploded. Fine. Don't ever open it for the rest of your life. I'd thought that out of old feelings, I could still see you occasionally after marriage. Now it seems I've given you too much face. I was completely baffled, and suddenly my phone was snatched away. Paid Song-sui glanced at the messages. A flicker of mockery passed through his eyes. His kiss fell again, dragging me deeper into the tide of passion. It wasn't until 2 days later that I recalled the fear of being dominated by him back then. Why can't I learn my lesson? As he leaned down once more, I suddenly pressed against his shoulder and gasped in panic. Wait, aren't there only 3 left? He kissed my lips, then pressed closer. While you were asleep, I ordered takeout. Huang Yueguang truly lived up to his name. In the past, I was afraid of his fierce and unrestrained ways, but now he had learned to control his timing and gave me breaks. The experience level had actually increased more than 1 notch. Abroad, he kissed my earlobe and whispered, "I've learned a lot." My body stiffened, my enthusiasm fading. Just as I was about to push him away, he held my hand tighter, pressing it into the pillow. He learned from watching materials. He looked at me, his tone like reporting an experiment. "This is the first practical session. After it's over, you need to give me an experience report so I'll know how to make you more satisfied next time." By the time I got my phone back, 3 days had passed. The screen was flooded with messages. My best friend. "Hey, where are you?" I heard Pate Song-sui canceled an important meeting on short notice. He didn't go looking for you, did he? Need me to call the police? Okay, I get it. Then Shunzi. The guy hasn't added you yet. Is he not satisfied? Should I talk to Brother Kun and find a better one for you? Brother Kun says no. He's afraid you haven't moved on. Don't blame him. This time he's really fallen hard. He's a bit paranoid. Brother Kun has set up a date for you. Sunday at 3 p.m., Dream Cafe. Don't forget. Isn't that today? Even if it's a blind date. At least he should have asked me. Gu Kun was so afraid I would pester him, but I hadn't done anything at all. Finally, I opened Gu Kun's chat, and the latest message was from 10 minutes ago.
Where are you?
Not answering calls, not replying to messages, and even standing me up on the blind date. Xia Jingyu, what exactly do you want? There was a voice message below it. I tapped it, and a lazy, hoarse voice came through. You've never acted like this before. Just because we broke up, you're this angry? I recognized that voice. It carried that special quality he had after intimacy. 3 days without contacting me. And he wasn't thinking about my safety, but about spending 3 days with his wife and then tossing me this ambiguous little test. Suddenly, I felt sick. I replied, "Your wife is great. Take good care of her." The next second, his voice call came through. Almost simultaneously, the bathroom door opened. Pate Song-sui came out drying his hair, water droplets sliding down his collarbone. Panicking, my finger accidentally hit the screen. The call connected, and Gu Kun's voice echoed clearly in the room. Xia Jingyu, that blind date of yours waited for you at the cafe all day. You disappeared for 3 days. Do you have to get my attention like this? He chuckled lowly, with his usual effortless arrogance. You're right, my wife is great, but for some things, as long as she doesn't find out, it's fine. When I was in a relationship with him, I didn't think much of it. It was just mutual benefit. But looking back now, that relationship is like a stain that can't be wiped away. I was furious. Gu Kun, don't flatter yourself. Can you show some respect to your wife? You just got out of her bed, and you say this? Don't you find it disgusting? Pate Song-sui suddenly leaned in and lightly bit my lip. A low laugh brushed past my ear. Studies show that cheating is either 0 or infinite. He's not worth your trouble. Ayu, look at me. The other end of the line suddenly went quiet. Who's with you? Before I could answer, he suddenly sneered. Xia Jingyu, I thought you were more carefree than this. Can't keep up the act anymore? Find a man to put on a show to piss me off, he said with sarcasm. Back when you were chasing me, you pretended to be in a relationship with someone else. Now you're pulling the same trick again? Interesting. Did he think it was all an act? It was real. Back then, he wasn't as easy to chase as I imagined. And because of Pate Song-sui's departure, my body went through withdrawal symptoms. I urgently needed a man to help me ease them. He wasn't up to it, so I switched to someone else. After dating for less than a month, I felt he was inferior to Pate Song-sui in every way, so I went back to chasing him exclusively. When I finally got him, I breathed a sigh of relief. I no longer had to live the kind of exhausting, backbreaking days I used to. I used our intimate time to catch up on sleep. During that period, I was glowing, and his buddies praised his prowess, so I just nodded along. No one knew that the formidable Goo-kun they talked about was, in my eyes, just a tool that gave me a bit of pleasure and a good night's sleep. Amid Goo-kun's sneers, I blocked and deleted him. Pei Song-sui buried his face in the crook of my neck, whispering softly, "I really like you. I miss you so much." Actually, I felt the same. I just used to force myself not to think about it. But I only took 3 days off and had to go back to work. I pushed him away, ending that absurdity. Later, when I went over the details with my best friend, she was silent for a while and said, "You held out for 3 days this time. Maybe you should just give in to him." I clenched my fists. No. Who knows what he was like abroad? These 3 years, I deliberately blocked all news about him, afraid I'd go soft. He really is great. Aside from that one aspect I just can't handle, he's truly impeccable. The sound of someone cracking sunflower seeds comes through the phone. Don't worry, I've checked. He's clean out there. Not just women, not even a female mosquito can get close, and of course, no men either. I pressed my lips together and rushed to the office. My best friend was still muttering, but my boyfriend said Pei Song-sui seems to have bought a house back home during those 3 years abroad. He'd always disappear for a few days during holidays. TSK, now he's just burning money. My heart paused slightly, but I immediately dismissed that thought. Back then, I had rejected him so harshly. He lost my contact info and had no friends in the city. How could he have found me back then? I arrived at the company and my boss handed me a project file. "If you can land this deal, you'll be the big hero." I took it with a smile, but as soon as I opened to the first page, I froze. The technical lead of the partner company, Pei Song-sui. My boss joked, "What? Stunned by his good looks?" We all said it's a shame he didn't go into entertainment with that face. I heard his team just cracked the key algorithm for minimally invasive neural intervention. He's riding high now. Domestic companies are scrambling to collaborate. I pressed my lips together. Okay. Let me look at the materials first. It didn't take long to look through the materials, but I just realized how successful Pei Song-sui is now. My best friend said after hearing about it, "I heard from my boyfriend." As soon as they landed, the Gu family was very eager. They must be confident about securing this cooperation. Should I contact Pei Song-sui directly? I hesitated. Actually, the company didn't hold much hope for this cooperation. Pei's tech company is a rising star in the industry, but Gu is the leading giant. Moreover, now that the Gu and Su families are joined in marriage, it's a union of powerhouses. Any sensible person would choose Gu. I brewed a cup of coffee. I'll contact him later. Just like when I was with Goo-kun, I also got tangible benefits from him. Investments I couldn't have begged for, resources I couldn't have accessed. He could give them to me casually. He's truly rotten, but I have to admit that relationship saved me years of detours. Even without those 3 days, the moment I saw this document, I would have contacted Pei Song-sui without hesitation. For my future, I contacted Pei Song-sui. No one answered the phone. Since I had to go discuss cooperation anyway, I directly took my colleague to his company. The receptionist asked if I had an appointment. I said. He didn't answer the phone. The receptionist smiled politely. "Mr. Pei is currently in a meeting with the Gu family. You may wait. I will notify him when it's over." I thanked him. My colleague muttered under his breath, "The Gu family is here too. Do we even stand a chance? Feels like we're just making up the numbers." I didn't reply. Soon enough, the elevator doors opened, and Goo-kun stepped out with his subordinates. He wasn't surprised to see me. Habitually, he reached for a cigarette, then stopped halfway. "You guys want in too?" He raised an eyebrow as he walked closer, lowering his voice. "Their demands are high. Given your company's scale, you probably don't make the cut." My colleague looked indignant. I took a half step back. "No need for you to worry about that, CEO Gu." He stared at me and let out a scoff. "Xia Jingyu, the axe over. Time to drop the charade." A room card was slipped into my palm. "Same rules," he murmured, leaning in, his gaze clinging to me before he quickly pulled back. "This project is Gu Corporation's, but I can give you other projects." Seeing me grip the card, the corner of his mouth twitched. He turned and left. The front desk then received an internal call and politely guided me upstairs. It seemed he had read the message I sent to Pei Sung-sui. Just as I reached the office, my colleague was naturally led to the meeting room by an assistant. The door clicked shut softly. Pei Sung-sui's office was clean and cold, just like him. I stepped inside. He stood up from his office chair, and before I could speak, he had already pulled me into his arms. He guided me to the sofa, settled me on his lap, and without a word, buried his face in the crook of my neck.
He nuzzled me gently.
When I pet a cat, I follow the same routine. I froze, not moving. You settled the deal with the Gu family? He looked up, his eyes deep. I've been waiting for you. You knew I'd come, he replied. Seeing he didn't intend to continue, my professional instincts kicked in, and I started introducing the company's situation. Although our company is smaller than the Gu family's, in recent years we have introduced. He watched me, listening quietly until I finished. Then he nodded without hesitation. Okay. The cooperation happened too fast. I hesitated. Maybe you should take a closer look? He caressed my face. I left back then for my career. Now I've come back for you. Our technology leads the world. Cooperating with anyone else is essentially the same. Because the result can only be success. But cooperating with you is different. This is my sincere gesture of reconciliation. I paused for a moment, then took a room card from my pocket and handed it to him. Gu-kun just gave it to me. I looked up and asked softly, Pei Sung-sui, what do you think? Should I go? The answer was naturally that I didn't go. I didn't expect there to be a bedroom hidden in his office, probably because we had been apart. His service awareness is astonishing now. After the event ended, my colleagues had already left, so I could only explain that something came up. At the equipment cooperation launch, all the candidate companies were present. Although everyone assumed the Gu family was the winner, opportunities to show one's face couldn't be missed, so we'd take any we could. As soon as Pei Sung-sui arrived, he was pulled away to give explanations. I held a glass of wine, standing alone in a corner. Just as I took a sip, I saw a familiar face. Obviously, Gu-kun also saw me. He paused, then walked over with Su Jiao in his arms. Xia Jingyu, chasing after me all the way here? Su Jiao tugged his sleeve. A kun, is she a suitor? He looked down and smiled at her. Probably following me. I looked at Su Jiao, the obedient wife that Gu-kun had described. She looked exactly like her photo. Skin milky white, round eyes. Like a little deer. She also glanced at me, hesitantly, but I could see she seemed surprised too. Gu-kun's gaze fell on my face. Jiao Jiao, she's very good at acting. Back then, to chase after me. She managed to pretend to be my brother for a whole year. Su Jiao seemed to understand, but not quite. Is that so? Then she really put a lot of thought into you. Gu-kun's smile froze slightly. At that moment, Pei Sung-sui walked over. He stopped in front of me and asked gently, Are you cold? Do you want something to eat first? Gu-kun's gaze was cold, as if his prey had been marked as someone else's territory. He raised an eyebrow. Could it be? Expert Pei wants to cooperate with them? Pei Sung-sui turned and said, It will be revealed later. Gu-kun's group of friends also arrived, with Shunzi sitting next to him. Su Jiao couldn't sit still and slipped away to chat with friends. Gu-kun handed his phone to Shunzi. The screen was on the chat interface between us, with the last message sent by him, preceded by a glaring red exclamation mark. What does this mean? Shunzi whispered. Brother Kun, you've been blocked. Gu-kun's face darkened. In fact, he already regretted it. He shouldn't have cut things off so ruthlessly. Maybe it was because I was too accommodating, making him think I would never leave. Or perhaps the novelty of his new wife overshadowed that fleeting feeling, leading him to mistakenly believe I was just a competent bedmate. Quitting smoking was hard, but for Su Jiao, he no longer smoked in front of her. Yet she was delicate and had a keen nose. If she caught even a whiff of smoke, she made him go shower and brush his teeth, or else she'd threaten to go back to her parents' home. Only when there was absolutely no smell would she let him touch her. Even in bed, she was always listless, asking, Are you done? Or should you see a doctor? He exhausted himself, but got zero emotional return. But I never did that. The launch began, and Pei Sung-sui stepped onto the stage. Gu-kun, restless, swept his gaze across the podium, and suddenly froze. I was standing at the center of the presentation area, clad in a sharp blazer dress. Holding the microphone, I fluently laid out the proposal in both Chinese and English, my pace steady, my entire being glowing under the lights. It was a Xia Jingyu he had never seen before, confident, professional, dazzling. Behind me stood Pei Song-sui, gazing at me with admiration. There seemed to be an impenetrable barrier between them. Su Jiao returned, leaning in to complain quietly. "Akun, this is so boring. When will it end? I saw a trendy shop online. Their stuff is so pretty. Let's go check it in later." He turned his head to look at her, the wife he had personally chosen, who at this moment seemed like a garish rose. The contrast with the stage was stark. After it ended, the boss called excitedly. The Gu family was about to prepare a celebration banquet, but unexpectedly, we stole the show. Word has it that President Gu's face turned black with anger. I was non-committal. Pei Song-sui and I went home together. He seemed to have a particular fondness for floor-to-ceiling windows. When he embraced me from behind, I could see the lake on one side and the building across from us. The windows on the 13th floor across the way were always dark. No matter when I looked, they were silent pitch black. His whisper came to my ears. "On stage. You're beautiful." My heart rate, he paused, is 56.3% faster than usual. His heartbeat was indeed very fast, driving my own heart to race as well. I turned around and pushed him away. I began to settle accounts. "By the way, your colleague said at the end that you have an apartment in Cloud City. Is that true?" I stared at him, asking sentence by sentence. "Is it in this neighborhood? Or is it on the 13th floor opposite?" Pei Song-sui's eyes flickered. "Ayu is so clever." "Indeed. How did you know I was here?" "At first, I didn't know." His voice lowered. Later, by chance, I overheard Chen Shu chatting with his girlfriend, mentioning this place. Actually, he had lied to me. 3 years ago, he contacted me right after getting off the plane. When his calls wouldn't go through, he immediately understood my decision. Back then, he wasn't as well off as now. He couldn't even scrape together enough for a return ticket, so he went crazy with research, taking on all sorts of side jobs in his spare time. Not long after, he finally saved up enough money, took leave, and flew back. But the person at my old place had already moved on. He searched obsessively, even considering giving up his overseas project just to stay and wait for me to show up until he found an email in his inbox. It was a scheduled email I had set up earlier, originally meant to create the illusion that I was still waiting for him. The email only had one line: "Wishing you a bright future. May you be better than ever when we meet again." He was silent for a long time, then finally flew back to the institute. Later, he found out that Chen Shu, who occasionally came for research visits, was my best friend's boyfriend. By chance, Chen Shu pried out my current address. From then on, he would take leave to come back every holiday. The director was afraid he might leak secrets, so he sent someone to secretly follow him. When a Chinese colleague at the institute heard about this, he laughed and waved his hand. Chinese people, they feel empty after buying a house. 3 years, neither too long nor too short. The light behind that window never turned on, but he was always there. Later, even Shunzi came to plead for him, saying, "Brother Kun is really smitten this time. Stop torturing him. He gave you so many resources before. Why be so ruthless?" I replied, "I just blocked him. I forgot there's still your lackey around." Then I blocked and deleted him. Once, an unknown number sent a message at 3 a.m. "When I watched you back then, did you feel this miserable too? Xia Jingyu, let's make up." I knew he was referring to those 2 years we were together. He always had a stream of women around him, and I quietly watched, playing the part of the understanding, non-competitive one. I didn't reply. I blocked that number too. Pei Song-sui had already returned, and he was better than ever. I no longer needed any condiment to ease things. He asked me what was wrong. I shook my head. Nothing. Just spam texts. I just didn't understand. Gu-kun himself said back then to keep things simple and not mix in feelings. So why now? He was the one who couldn't keep his word first. But I never expected my old affair with Gu-kun to suddenly be exposed. The scoop claimed I had a messy relationship history, jumping from Gu-kun to the newly returned tech tycoon. Scientific research news is usually not that sensational. But Paid Sung-sue's looks became a trending topic. Many marketing accounts posted his videos. The incident quickly escalated, with most of the blame directed at me. Gu-kun did not issue a statement. Instead, he contacted me from a new number saying, "Come back. I can handle those rumors for you. I neglected you before." I ignored him. When the public opinion grew more intense, the first person to speak up for me publicly was Su Jiao. She used her official verified account to speak out. Since I started associating with Gu-kun, Xia Jingyu has never interfered. Please stop the malicious speculation about her. I sent her a direct message, thanking her and also reminding her to reconsider this marriage. She replied, "I will think it over carefully." Afterwards, a video was released, recorded by Paid Sung-sue for me. In front of the camera, I spoke calmly. "Mr. Pei and I are indeed in a romantic relationship, but this will not affect the effectiveness of the equipment itself. Their team's achievements are world-class and will benefit countless patients in the future." I put down my phone and looked at the man beside me who was working. "Did you do this?" I asked. I had been with Gu-kun for 2 years, so I knew something about the Gu family. Old Master Gu had always valued Gu-kun. How could he easily let an illegitimate son into the family? Paid Sung-sue closed his laptop. "I'm done with work," he said, deliberately changing the subject. "Ayu, can I get a new kind of reward today?" He had said he didn't want to work when he came back. I had forced him to open it. Soon, I had no time to think about anything else, falling under the spell of the new tricks he'd learned. Before that, he had already looked into all the recent troubles, including that trending post. It was all Gu-kun's doing. A man who'd had everything go his way for over 20 years naturally couldn't stand being rejected repeatedly. So Paid Sung-sue casually
Sent him a little gift.
It didn't take much effort, just owed someone a favor. He didn't see it as a big deal as long as it made me happy. He was satisfied. Under the pressure of both scandal and poor performance, Gu-kun's company fell into crisis. He wanted to ask Paid Sung-sue for investment or connections, but couldn't even get a meeting. Today, Paid Sung-sue went out for work. I was resting alone at home when suddenly the lock clicked. Someone opened the door and came in. It was Gu-kun. He had kept a key back then and later claimed he lost it. He had never used it either, so I hadn't thought to change the lock recently. I instinctively stepped back. Seeing my wary expression, his face twisted in pain. "Xia Jingyu, do you hate me that much?" He stepped closer. I stepped back. "I wasn't good enough before. I regret it, Jingyu. You talk to Paid Sung-sue for me, as long as he's willing." Before he could finish, his gaze suddenly fixed on the trash can behind me. Inside was an empty ultra-thin box, strawberry flavor. Suddenly, hope flickered in his eyes. "Why is it my favorite strawberry flavor? You still have feelings for me, don't you? What about that half box I gave you?" I countered. "Didn't you tell me to use it with someone else?" His eyes were blazing with rage. "Who did you use it with? Xia Jingyu, don't you have a heart?" A knock on the door sounded right then. I rushed over and opened it. 2 security guards entered and, politely but firmly, took Gu-kun out. Paid Sung-sue pulled me into his arms. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. I shook my head. "It's fine." I paused, then looked up at him. "But I only sent a message to the security guards just now. How are you here?" He pursed his lips, paused, and explained quietly, "I'm not surveilling you. You don't like me interfering, so I put a tracker on Gu-kun's phone." Well done. Gu-kun had been in the business world for years, with foundations much deeper than those bastards. Although the Gu family was not what it used to be, they were slowly recovering. Because of what happened before, Paid Sung-sue was always uneasy. He arranged 2 bodyguards for me to accompany me daily. At a public event, the host jokingly asked Paid Sung-sue how he viewed past emotional entanglements. In the past, he never answered personal questions. But this time, he looked up, his gaze sweeping past me in the audience, a slight smile on his lips. Outstanding people always attract some attention, but an upgraded system won't be compatible with outdated versions anymore. The whole audience chuckled knowingly. Gu-kun sat among them, his expression dark. He still hadn't managed to sever ties with the Su family. He still needed their support. Su Jiao, sitting beside him, also let out a light laugh. He snapped coldly, "What are you laughing at? Can't you be sensible?" Just then, someone nearby started discussing Pae Sung-sui and me, saying that's what a top-tier couple who elevate each other looks like, both striving on their own. I heard Pae Sung-sui has transferred all his assets to Miss Ya. They never market themselves, but this is the ideal love in my eyes. The words were like invisible slaps across Gu Kun's face. Su Jiao listened, a hint of longing in her eyes. She glanced at Pae Sung-sui on the stage, then turned to him. "What are you looking at?" Gu Kun said irritably. She replied clearly, "Looking at my ex, Gu Kun. Let's break off the engagement. I suddenly feel that you're not worthy of me," she paused. "Especially in that regard." Eyes from around subtly turned their way. "That regard? What regard?" "The rumors are true." Gu Kun's face turned ashen. He gritted his teeth and said, "Su Jiao, think clearly. Without me, who else can put up with your temper?" Su Jiao smiled indifferently. "You'd better take care of yourself first. Don't let your father's sons drag you down." After the event ended, I spotted Gu Kun from afar and pretended not to see him. He tried to approach, but was blocked by bodyguards. Pae Sung-sui's assistant walked over at the right moment, his tone distant. Mr. Pae instructed that, if it's Mr. Gu, there's no need for reminiscing. Miss Xia's schedule is very full. I got into the car with Pae Sung-sui. After getting in the car, Pae Sung-sui held me tightly. "I used to think that everything in the world could be like math, quantifiable with data," he said in a low, slow voice. "Even emotions. I always felt they had to reach a certain frequency." "You won't leave." My face darkened. No wonder he was so fierce before. He continued, "Until now, I realized that feelings cannot be quantified." "Do." I quickly covered his mouth, glanced at the driver, whispered a warning, "We're outside." The partition slowly rose, sealing the space. Only then did he lean close to my ear and add, "Only love can." The public has always loved gossip, and when it comes to spicy topics, they get all excited. Even the always aloof Gu Kun became the center of discussion. "Spill the tea. President Gu seems not up to par. Apparently, he's a Mac-type player." Lighting a cigarette. "I've heard it long ago. His ex-girlfriend squad privately calls him Inoki Mushroom Spirit. Suddenly I feel sorry for Xia Jingyu, downgraded experience for 2 years, and still get scolded. What kind of earthly penance is this? Pure bystander." So Sister Xia went from a feast of Manchu Han cuisine, Pae, to plain noodles, Gu, and now she's back to the feast. This wave is basically taste rehabilitation training. To be precise, how is it plain noodles? It was instant noodles, even without the seasoning packet. The public opinion fermented, actually affecting the Gu family's stock price. I paid no attention. Netizens discussed as they liked, but then the light began to hit hard again. I never imagined that such a thing could have so many variations. Of course, now I only feel fulfilled and happy. Gu Kun came to me a few more times. I knew he didn't necessarily like me that much. He just couldn't accept the Desnivel. He couldn't stand that what once belonged to him as a second choice now couldn't even bear to look at him. He didn't even have the right to repent. All that talk of a prodigal son returning, that bad boy charm. It's all nonsense. Now my career is steadily rising, while Pae Sung-sui unhesitatingly stepped back to focus on research. He dislikes publicity, saying it would eat into our time alone. I heard there's a Leonid meteor shower tonight. He's taking me camping on the rooftop. We sit side by side on the grass, the night sky vast, the stars hanging low. He suddenly asks, "When I went abroad 3 years ago, did you like me?" I nod. I did like him. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have been so listless after he left, wouldn't have gone through withdrawal symptoms, could only ease it with a new relationship. If I hadn't liked him, I wouldn't have saved up enough for a plane ticket, and then I secretly went abroad just to catch a distant glimpse of him. After coming back that time, I forced myself to live well, since he was doing great there. Speaking of it, this reunion, he hasn't formally mentioned getting back together, but at this moment, it seemed like 1,000 stars had fallen into his eyes. He took out a ring box, opened it. Inside was the one I'd liked when we went shopping years ago. With marriage as the premise, his voice was soft. "Will you date me for 3 months?" "Why 3? In 3 months, I'll propose." His expression was serious. They say marriage needs a romantic number. I have saved 520131400, but I'm still a bit short for the bride price. I need 3 months to make up the rest. He always has his own plans. I reached out my hand, watching him slip on that ring he had prepared long ago. Okay, I agree. Actually, I liked him a lot back then, but I was busy moving forward, and he had his own future. I couldn't hold him back. Now is just the right time.